It's a terrible thing for our country. They can't do any work. They're frozen, the Democrats. They're going to lose the election. They know it. That's why they're doing it. And it should never be allowed what's happened to this president. And I have to put up with Adam Schiff on an absolutely perfect phone call to the new president of Ukraine. That was a perfect call. But Adam Schiff doesn't talk about Joe Biden and his son walking away with millions of dollars from Ukraine and then millions of dollars from China. Walking away in a quick meeting, walking away with millions of dollars. He doesn't talk about Joe Biden firing a prosecutor. And if that prosecutor's not fired, he's not going to give him money from the United States of America. They don't talk about that. My call was perfect. The president yesterday of Ukraine said there was no pressure put on him whatsoever, none whatsoever. And he said it loud and clear for the press. What these guys are doing, Democrats are doing to this country, is a disgrace, and it shouldn't be allowed. There should be a way of stopping it, maybe legally through the courts, but they're going to tie up our country because, frankly, they're so tied up, they're so screwed up, nothing gets done except when I do it.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, new reports suggesting what we knew all along. The leaker that supposedly went and tried to blow the whistle against President Trump for his discussions with Ukraine turns out to most likely be a CIA operative in the White House. You cannot make this stuff up. We're going to take a closer look at this, how it's blowing up in the Democrats' faces, and what you need to know about the latest breaking news. So you guys are going to want to stick around and check this out. I am Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I always begin by saying thank you to everyone who's hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. Here we are, Q-Board 3570, August 1st. That was the last post we have. The 8chan boards are still down. We are waiting for them to come back online, and then we expect to see more posts from Q, presumably. But that doesn't change the fact that everything is happening in real time. We're watching the battle between President Trump and the deep state take place right in front of our eyes, and we have so much more than we know, as Q would say. So, using some of these older Q posts, we're going to go and put together with the latest breaking news stories what might actually be happening right now, and there's a lot to cover there. But before we get into that, look, I always ask you guys, please share these videos, get them out on your social media. Why do I do that? Obviously, you know what's happening with YouTube and Google and Twitter and Facebook, and the suppression of conservatives, especially conservative Christians, but more importantly, the way that these big tech companies are trying to exert this extrajudicial power over the populace, in most cases removing people's civil liberties and rights by enacting their draconian and Orwellian policies against free citizens who are just trying to state their opinion. They're gaming the system against us. They're doing everything they can to not only suppress this content, but to continue to promote the content which President Trump has told us on a regular basis is the fake news. So we have to fight that. And how do we fight that? It's really simple. You just go down, hit the share button, watch these videos, get caught up, share those. If you're scratching your head, go, what is QAnon the Great Awakening? Please watch this video, share it, get this out on your social media. That's how we combat it, and that's how you guys do your part. But let's get into the first news story. So I had somebody bring this to my attention, and I'm not going to name any names, but I'm going to say that I have a source who claims to have, relatively intimate knowledge with regard to the way Hunter Biden was washed out of the military and how he was actually selected. So one thing that people I don't think really understand is that Hunter Biden, in order to qualify her for his position in the military, which was like some sort of public affairs officer position, this had to go through a process where, because of his age, he was 43 years old, he had to get a waiver to be able to serve. Now, this waiver is usually, very hard to get, and it's a very, very drawn-out process for trying to get qualified to get an exemption to serve after the age of 40, I believe. So think about this. How did Biden get that exemption? How did he get it so quickly? How did he get the ability to serve that quickly? Now, regardless of what happened with his actual disqualification where they allegedly found cocaine in his system, and he allegedly had something else. But if you go outside of that, think about this. How many people during Obama and Clinton and the rest were given this special exemption and appointed to high-ranking military positions? How many of those people do you think are some of the very same people right now who we're trying to weed out and figure out who they are? Obviously, this is just one story that you have to take at face value, and you have to ask yourself, was this a common practice where they would take these unqualified individuals and get them exemptions and place them in high-ranking military positions in order to further entrench themselves inside of our bureaucracy and our military? It's a question that we have to ask. And it was brought up to me by somebody, and, they know who they are. So, yeah, I just thought I'd talk about this first. Now, here's another story. This is John Solomon, who's just coming out with this major story, talking about a top Ukrainian justice official saying the U.S. ambassador gave him a do not prosecute list. Oh, well, that sounds wonderful. A literal list of people that he could not prosecute. The story basically goes on to talk about the fact that this prosecutor from Ukraine was given a list by our ambassador to Ukraine, the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch. Now, this is the woman I believe President Trump was referring to when he said we had a U.S. ambassador and she was not good, or she was a bad actor, something to that extent. Now, what was he referring to? The fact that she literally was probably handed a list from the Obama administration directly to give to the Ukrainian prosecutor general, I should say, that says, regardless of criminality, even if you find criminal violations against these people, you cannot prosecute them. And then in their own words, they describe how the U.S. Embassy just told them to buzz off when they were investigating a very large case of embezzlement. So here's the actual quote. Let's listen to it real quick. At that time, this is actually the prosecutor himself talking in this interview with John Solomon. Says, quote, "At that time, we had a case for embezzlement of the U.S. government technical assistance worth $4 million US, and in that regard, we had this dialogue," he said. At that time, Yovanovitch thought that our interviews of Ukraine citizens, of Ukrainian civil servants who were frequent visitors of the U.S. Embassy, put a shadow on the anti-corruption policy. So what the Ukrainian prosecutor general is saying here is they were told, or they were in the middle of investigation of this $4 million, and when they started interviewing their own citizens in their country, they were told by the U.S. Embassy to basically buzz off. He goes on to say, quote, "Actually, we got the letter from the U.S. Embassy from the ambassador that the money we are speaking about was under full control of the U.S. Embassy, and that the U.S. Embassy did not require our legal assessment of these facts." He said, quote, "The situation was actually rather strange because the funds we are talking about were designated for the Prosecutor General's office also, and we told them we have never seen those. And the U.S. Embassy replied there was no problem." Quote, "The portion of the funds namely $4.4 million US, were designated and were foreseen for the recipient Prosecutor General's office, but we have never received it," he said. So where did that $4 million go? Was it a payoff for Poroshenko? We have to ask these questions, and I think that's what we're really getting at here is what, for instance, over here on the keyboard, this individual, Anon, said something that a lot of people are theorizing. They're saying this fake whistleblower setup is a white hat operation, and it's setting up Hillary Clinton. It's brilliant. So what they say basically is that the Patriots are in control. The Dems took the bait, swallowed the hook, and are choking on the line. The fish called Hillary is finished. They're all finished. Yeah, Biden's in the hot seat, but Hillary's in the crosshairs. Just keep saying it, robot Dems. Nobody is above the law. So I think this theory is good, but I also think that it's very possible that everything with the way this came out was not supposed to happen the way it did. And this was supposed to be another Russian blockade type situation where the deep state could say, oh, we have all this evidence that we can't talk about. And President Trump threw a wrench in the middle of that because we knew what they were going to do. And I'm going to get into the Q post that tell us, where Q basically tells us back in like February, we know exactly what they're going to do. We're planning for this. So they planned for this. So the Dems took the bait. They went after the they used this whistleblower, but then President Trump released the transcript and it all just blew up in their face immediately, right? Here's the actual complaint that was released. It's from the anonymous whistleblower who President Trump said today, I don't know, he said basically, I don't know who the whistleblower is, but I'd like to find out who gave the whistleblower this information. He said, remember what we would do with these kind of treasonous traitors back in the day, just in referencing the death penalty and how we would get rid of these individuals. So this is a part of President Trump coming out and openly saying, look, I'm not going to allow this unelected bureaucracy to continue to wage this coup battle behind the scenes. I'm going to bring it into the light and show the world, look, we're in the middle of this battle and the deep state's doing everything they can to stop it. Here's the actual complaint. I'll leave a link to it if you want to read the full thing. What they basically say is, I was not a direct witness to most of the events described in this paper. However, I found my colleagues' accounts of these events to be credible because in almost all cases, multiple officials recounted fact patterns that were consistent with one another. So in this whole thing, all this person goes on to say is that they observed these troubling actions with President Trump and Joe Biden and Ukraine and all. And to me, look, what they're trying to do is so obvious. On its face, you have to look at it and say this is complete and total, you know what, and it's complete and total lie, and it's a hoax, and it's the second one. But why is it important? Well, we're going to get into that, and we're going to do it by getting into this. This is Q post from February of 2019. Q told us these 3 tweets. Soft push of narrative. Example. What are these 3 tweets? First is Kimberly Strassel talking about the conspiracy theorist Adam Schiff is looking for something new, anticipating Mueller letdown. Ooh, I wonder if that new thing was Ukrainian collusion. The Democrat strategy is always accuse you of what you are most guilty of. You yourself are most guilty of. Here's the other tweet. This is from the New York Times talking about a concise Mueller report would mark the end of the beginning, not the beginning of the end. Then the other tweet here is from Rob Reiner, Meathead, I believe, saying, from what I understand about the complexities, opaqueness, and length of counterintelligence investigations, I'd be surprised if Mueller was able to uncover the breadth of this conspiracy. More digging will have to be done, but there will be crimes, and we better get to see them. I mean, look, honestly, this is insanity, what these leftist extremists spew on their timelines, but you can see it for what it is, right? Q's pointing this out to us and then saying, what happened to the Mueller hype? What happened to, this is right after the Mueller report basically was being exposed as showing nothing. What happened to the Mueller will take down POTUS threats at John Brennan. What was Mueller the insurance policy, aka blockade, designed to limit, restrict POTUS' ability to enforce the law? Traitors? New talking points being pushed back or backing away from Mueller as the savior regarding excuse A, B, C? Why are new investigations, those were the examples A, B, and C up here, by the way, those tweets. Why are new investigations by Adam Schiff being started if, as he stated for almost 2 years, evidence exists that ties POTUS to Russia? If they had evidence, do you think they would have leaked it? If they had evidence, would they be backing away, playing down the Mueller report about to be released? First, they pushed for a special counsel. Now they claim the special counsel didn't look deep enough. If the special counsel report is classified, how do they know where, who, when, why, and how deep each case is? If the special counsel report is classified, how do they know the conclusions of the report? Are new investigations designed to be an insurance extension? That's what we're seeing here, ladies and gentlemen. Q is telling us back in February they were creating this insurance extension, and this is it. So we've known since February they've been constructing this insurance extension. They're planning to launch it now in the run-up to 2020. It's going to be, they were going to try to make this the next 2-year thing that's going to take over the news cycle, the fake news cycle for the 2020 election, but they failed. You know why? They failed because we knew it was coming. And as soon as they went with the Ukraine story and Adam Schiff went up there, we made them look like idiots by dropping the actual transcript on them so that the media can't lie about something that's there in plain sight for them to read. Although they're trying their best to keep lying about it. And then again, Q says, designed to prevent POTUS from cleaning house. President Trump's in the middle of draining the actual swamp. So this is one of their tactics to try to stall and blockade against it. Like I said, we were ready. We dropped the transcript of the phone call on it so they couldn't just do exactly what they did with the Russia thing and protract it forever over the span of 2 years for nothing, right? Attack on political opponents who are actively conducting leading investigations into the president for XYZ charges beyond Mueller for XYZ reasons, zero evidence to support, obstruction trap. We know these things were going on. The Southern District of New York opening private investigation for the sole purpose of finding a crime. Evidence to support, evidence presented. Does the Southern District of New York report to AG Barr? Watch the news. Maxine Waters opening new investigations into the finances of POTUS and his family, and/or his family. Why did Democrats state things will calm down if we retake the House prior to the midterm elections? Was their plan to retake the House in order to chair each respective committee in order to start new erroneous investigations in an attempt to retain the blockade? That's what we're witnessing. That's what all this is, and we've planned for it. So this is pretty intense, right? Retain the insurance policy, retain the optical illusion. That was a crime committed. Retain the narrative, retain Democrat-based outrage, retain Democrat-based obstruction, retain Democrat-based support to block POTUS agenda. If you know your opponent's move, what advantages does that present? Well, interesting. If you have the truth on your side, what advantages does that present? If you have control of the U.S. military, what advantages does that present? If you have complete authority to classify, what advantages does that present? If you have the support of the American people, patriots, what advantages does that present? Do not trust the fake news media. You are the majority. Mueller, declass, Office of Inspector General, Truth, Justice, the Great Awakening. You are the news now, Q. So Q was preparing for this all the way back in February and telling us all about it. So that's just one example. Now, to go into what they want to, claim, the whole thing with this whistleblower complaint is not only completely debunked by the transcript of the phone call, which was released by the White House, but never forget, the United States signed a treaty with Ukraine, literally a treaty on mutual legal assistance in criminal matters. This was signed by Bill Clinton himself. And if you read in the document, it talks specifically about helping each other with criminal investigations, which is exactly what that phone call says. President Trump says, "We are investigating these crimes. Will you please help us?" President of Ukraine says, "Yes, I will." But you have these criminal liars on Capitol Hill, like Adam Schiff, right, who literally get up there, as James O'Keefe points out, and says, just makes up what the president says. He literally takes the transcript that was written by the White House of the phone call, which is not a verbatim transcript. It's just a readout of what happened, right? And intimates this fantasy story about President Trump talking in some secret mob lingo, and it's insanity. That's the level of absurdity that this is reaching, because we anticipated this, we knew it was coming, and they don't know what to do. Watch this clip of Adam Schiff. It's disgusting.
The essence of what the president communicates. We've been very good to your country, very good. No other country has done as much as we have. But you know what? I don't see much reciprocity here. I hear what you want. I have a favor I want from you, though. And I'm going to say this only 7 times, so you better listen good. I want you to make up dirt on my political opponent, understand lots of it. On this and on that. I'm going to put you in touch with people, not just any people. I'm going to put you in touch with Attorney General of the United States, my Attorney General, Bill Barr. He's got the whole weight of the American law enforcement behind him. And I'm going to put you in touch with Rudy. You're going to love him, trust me. You know what I'm asking, and so I'm only going to say this a few more times, in a few more ways. And by the way, don't call me again. I'll call you when you've done what I asked. This is, in character, what the president was trying to communicate with the president of Ukraine. It would be funny if it wasn't such a graphic betrayal of the president's oath of office. But as it does represent a real betrayal, there's nothing the president says here that is in America's interest, after all. It is instead the most consequential.
So there you go. And I think James O'Keefe, hits the nail on the head here, saying this is unbelievable. The system is a total joke. The media props the joke up instead of exposing the problem because ratings. We will show you how that all works soon. So this is just another example. This guy, who's supposedly the Intelligence Committee chair, this is the Intelligence Committee chair, getting up in front of Congress and saying, in an open hearing, saying, I'm going to make up what President Trump said based off of no evidence other than what we have from this secondhand report that completely counters what the White House just released as far as an official, transcript goes. I mean, loss of words, just loss of words with these people. And, they're all connected to the same criminal stuff too. And that's the problem, I think. But then you ask yourself, like we said, we looked here, we have a treaty with Ukraine that literally talks about cooperation in these criminal investigations. Are we going to go after the senators who wrote to ask the Ukrainian government to help get dirt on President Trump for the Mueller special counsel investigation? U.S. Senator Robert Menendez, U.S. Senator Richard Durbin, U.S. Senator Patrick Leahy. This was a letter they wrote back in May of 2018 themselves, asking for cooperation in helping the investigation of Robert Mueller against the president. But then President Trump gets on a phone call and says, hey, can you please look into Joe Biden and this whole thing where he's on TV in front of the Council on Foreign Relations. Here, I'm just going to play it. Watch this. This is Joe Biden.
For loan guarantees. And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
So there you go. You literally have Joe Biden sitting there going, oh, yeah, I'm going to fire this. I got this prosecutor fired because I threatened to take away $1 billion in U.S. Aid. So he was extorting the Ukrainian government using U.S. taxpayer dollars. Yet, and these guys are writing to get dirt on President Trump for the Mueller investigation. But President Trump asked one time for them to investigate. It's beyond me. Here's the actual phone call itself. It happened on July 25th, 2019. A couple interesting things about July 25th. Here's a post from Q back on July 25th, 2018, 1 year ago, before this phone call took place. Q says, what if the UK government worked hand in hand with Hussein administration to sabotage the 2016 election? Data collection, voice, video, bugging, creation of fake intel dossier using ex-spy? Co-sponsor insurance policy regarding POTUS election? Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, No Name, Clapper, Brennan, Rice, Loretta Lynch, HRC, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Barack Hussein, plus 22. What if intel mass penetrations to frame Russia? That's what CrowdStrike was all about. Servers, Seth Rich, Julian Assange. Why does the UK government desperately want Julian Assange? Think source files, the more you know. Q. Oh, so now everything's starting to make sense, right? Julian Assange knew about the source codes for the CrowdStrike servers and how the CrowdStrike investigation and how it was used to cover up the fact that intelligence community was involved in all of this. So the intelligence community is trying to cover their tracks, the servers from the DNC, the ones that would show beyond a reasonable doubt, if we could examine them in their entirety, that this whole thing was a operation that was put forth by the Obama administration to set up President Trump. And that's why they're so desperate right now to make sure that there is no evidence left. So that's an important story, in my opinion, something we have to keep watching, not to mention, this, Mitt Romney's national security advisor just happens to be, from his 2012 campaign, just happens to sit on the board of the Burisma Holdings, the Ukrainian gas company that paid Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, $50,000 a month. Oh, well, that's just fascinating. So that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it, and we'll get into a little bit more in the next episode. But I want to say thank you guys for watching. As always, there's a few ways you can help out the channel. You need to watch these videos, share them on your social media. That's the best way you can help out. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to think about all of this, because like I say, we try to have our own QAnon research board at the end of each one of these episodes. So anything you can contribute, go down and do it. Of course, don't forget to be brave. Download the Brave browser. What is Brave browser? If you use Google Chrome or Internet Explorer or any of those other internet browsers and you're tired of pop-up ads and ads that make it impossible to read the website that you're trying to look at, please go give this a shot. Use the link in the description, download the Brave browser, install it, and run it just like you would any other internet browser. And I'm telling you, it will block the pop-ups and ads, and it makes your internet experience that much better. Also, it supports, when you use the link in the description, it supports the channel Just Informed Talk. So that's a win-win situation. You guys should go be brave and check out the Brave browser. Also, don't forget to check out JUSTINFORMEDNEWS.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk, where you get links to the Q stuff, different news sites, and breaking news, plus the latest videos from the channel. That's JUSTINFORMEDNEWS.com. Also, check out Just Informed Talk on Twitter at the handle at JustInformU. You can find me on Twitter at JustInformU. We can have a conversation. That's a great way to connect outside the YouTube channel. Now, there's a couple other ways you can help out, both financial, Patreon, Patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. Know you're helping create content on this channel. You all know what's going on with YouTube. They've demonetized this channel. They've put me in whatever category is the category for suppressing content and discriminating against content creators' civil rights, in my humble opinion. But with that, your support is how I overcome it. So all you have to do is come here, become a patron. It's a monthly donation. You set it, forget it. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up. If you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation, that helps the channel out big time, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate your support. So with all that being said, I'm going to share a prayer with you, and we're going to keep it simple tonight for our segment, God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. Tonight, we're going to do a prayer, and this is out of the book of Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 17 through 19. And it's a prayer for spiritual insight. And I want to say it here with you. I pray that the God of our Lord Jesus Christ, the glorious Father, would give you a spirit of wisdom and revelation in the knowledge of Him. I pray that the eyes of your heart may be enlightened, so that you may know what is the hope of His calling, what are the glorious riches of His inheritance among the saints, and what is the immeasurable greatness of His power to us who believe, according to the working of His vast strength. Amen. So remember that. Go out in the world and look to God first. And my prayer for you is that you find His greatness and that you find His vast, immeasurable strength coming into your heart and helping you to be a strong, righteous man or woman for your family, for your friends, for your loved ones, for even people you just meet on the street. Because we are called not only to kindness, but we are called to live a righteous life and to be faithful in God first. So that's my message to you, and I want you guys to take that and spread it out into the world. But I want to say thank you guys for watching this episode. Remember, if you haven't, come here, click the big red subscribe button, and hit it, punch it, tap it, bop it, knee it, reverse roundhouse, kick it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.